When the sun comes up on America, across open fields, small towns, and city streets, a new day begins. And here, we rise with it. This is where hard work meets headlines, where truth matters, and America wakes up informed.
An interesting week.
They all are.
This is your country. This is your morning. This is Daybreak with Steve and Ivy Gruber. America, let's do it together.
Love you, Ivy.
Love you too.
And it starts right now.
All right, let's do it. Welcome back to the program on a Thursday. Let's kick things off. Three big things for you to know today. Number one, Barack Obama said his library in Chicago would be a lasting legacy, and boy, is he right. It's ugly as sin, and the contractors, minority contractors, are going bankrupt because they're not being paid, and they're never going to be paid. Nice legacy. Number two, for the first time in decades, obesity rates in America are declining, and you have to wonder what it has to do with Maha. RFK Jr. joining me in the next hour. I'll ask him. And number three, we've got some breaking news today. President Donald Trump and President Masoud Pezeshkian of Iran have both signed the Memo of Understanding. Peace is official today. It was signed in Versailles last night by the president. The Prime Minister of Pakistan announcing the Strait of Hormuz is open and the agreement is in effect. We'll have a lot more on that today. But we start here. Our nation's capital, Washington, D.C., has chosen a Democratic socialist to represent the Democrat Party in the mayoral race, Janice Lewis George. She ran on a typical platform, the wolf in sheep's clothing, pretending to champion workers' rights and make promises about things like government-run grocery stores and stabilized rent, which we all know just means higher taxes and more corruption without any of those utopian outcomes coming true. She also ran on Trump derangement syndrome, something that she says really fired up her supporters. Listen to this.
I heard that today when I went to the polls that residents came up to me and said, you know what, if Trump doesn't like you, I love you, and and people felt that way. So if nothing else, it got people to pay attention and got them to the polls, and that's a win for all of us in this city. Thank you.
Yeah, these voters are willing to throw away everything it means to be an American, just to spite the bad orange man. They could have voted for a normal Democrat, like Kenyon McDuffie, who still would have been plenty to the left. But as of last night, Janice Lewis George led him by 12 points. Because Democratic socialists are getting a dangerous foothold in this nation. First, Zohran Mamdani. Then that kook in Seattle. And now George. Hassan Piker, the ultimate America hater who has campaigned for the worst of the Democrats, says that Mamdani, he's just the beginning. Listen.
I hope that although Zohran was the first in New York City, by the end of these midterms, Zohran will seem unremarkable. Because by then, we will have elected so many brilliant fighters into legislative offices throughout the New York City and the state.
Yeah. You can never underestimate, and please listen to me, you can never underestimate the threat of the radical left. Just because a conservative majority is in the White House doesn't mean the left-wing lunacy isn't festering where it can someday take over. New York City alone is a terrifying petri dish for socialism, where Democratic socialists themselves are bragging about the foothold they've taken in city government. Just listen to this congressional candidate.
My name is Claire Valdez. I'm a union organizer. I'm a proud Democratic Socialist. And I've been a member of New York City DSA for 7 years. And when I first joined, we had one socialist in office, Julia Salazar. Shout out, Julia. And now we have 9 socialists in office, and we just elected a Democratic socialist, Zohran Mamdani, to be our mayor of New York City.
It makes a lot of sense when you see that as to why the Big Apple is going down the tubes. Mainstream Democrats failed the city. And instead of waking up, New Yorkers have just slid further and further to the left, right into the sewer. And these are the results of that kind of lunacy. Listen to this. riots in the streets. Yeah, riots in the streets. That was the scene when the New York Knicks won the NBA championship. That's what the degenerates call a good time. And Comrade Mamdani does nothing to stop it because his party will call him a racist for enforcing common sense laws. D.C. will soon follow suit under Janice Lewis George. It was already under Mayor Muriel Bowser. That is until Donald Trump sent the National Guard and cleaned up the mess. D.C. crime statistics show that law enforcement surge. That has been a successful effort, drastically reducing homicides and other violent crimes like carjackings. But George made it part of her campaign to lie about those efforts and swear to undermine them. Here's more.
When we have federal agents from different agencies who don't have oversight from the district government, who are not trained in de-escalation, by giving them this opportunity, we are creating a very real risk of harm and to our black youth in this city and to all of our families in this city. So for me, we don't use that tool. We use the tools we know work, like after school programming, like DPR, extended hours. Those are the things that work.
And in 2019, she tweeted, and I quote, "I will absolutely divest from MPD, put that money into violence interruption programs. Full stop. She will defund the police, hamper ICE efforts, and oppose any help from the federal government as long as President Trump is in office." Best of luck, D.C. You did this to yourselves. Last week, President Trump threatened a federal takeover if George becomes the new mayor. Here's what he said.
President, here in Washington, D.C., there's a Democratic primary for mayor. One of the two leading candidates, Janice Lewis George, is running a Zoran Mamdani campaign. It's focused on socialist policies. How would you feel if she emerges victorious in next Tuesday's
Well, I wouldn't
primary?
like it, and maybe we'd take back Washington, run it on the federal basis. We won't put up with it. We're not going to lose our businesses. By the way, Washington now is a safe, beautiful place.
A safe, beautiful place that will descend into Gotham-style madness if the Democratic Socialists have their way. Critics got their feathers ruffled by Trump's comments, but Senator John Kennedy simplified it as only he can. Here it is.
Well, there are two main candidates, as best I can tell. One is a normal person. One is a crazy person. I hope the normal person wins, though I believe in democracy, and if the people elect the crazy person, they're entitled to do that. But Congress and the president, the federal government has a certain jurisdiction over D.C., and we're not going to let the crazy person do crazy stuff if the crazy person wins.
And that, my friends, is how you call a spade, which is what we're all going to be doing and get comfortable doing because the craziness is spreading. Just take it from Hunter Biden, who has returned to the public eye and says he's optimistic about the future of the Democrat Party thanks to these candidates, which is how you know they're all bad news. We'll get to Hunter Biden in a moment. Nice to see you today. It's a Thursday. Gas prices under $4. But D.C., and they want socialism. They want free stuff. Well, they want you to buy them stuff. Lots of stuff. Good morning. I'll be right back. All right, let's hear from the political wizard, Hunter Biden. Go ahead and roll that.
You're not as panicked about the Democratic Party brand in that context, that it starts to resolve itself as we move through the midterms and then get to the other side.
Yeah. Well, you know what? I mean, no, I'm not. Because you know what? You know who's a Democrat? Zoran Mamdani. You know who's a Democrat? Graham Plattner. You know who's a Democrat? Abigail Stamberger. You know who's a Democrat? You know, I mean, I just can keep going down the list. You know who's a Democrat? AOC. You know who's a Democrat? Bernie Sanders. You know who's a Democrat? Is James Talarico in Texas. You know who's a Democrat? Is Javier Becerra in California.
Yeah, it's a list, all right. We have a name for that kind of list where I come from. It's all I need to hear to know that these people don't have America's best interests in heart. He mentioned Talarico. Let's take him, for example, who Democrats chose to represent them in the Senate race in Texas, who has this to say about the American flag. Listen.
I often think when reclaiming symbols, I think about the American flag. I think the Confederate flag is a symbol of treason and terrorism, but the American flag is such a complicated symbol for most of us, and in many ways, like Jesus, like the cross, it's been co-opted, and in some ways, its true meaning has been betrayed.
Hey, doofus, there's nothing complicated about it. It stands for the land of the free and the home of the brave, and if you can't stand for that, you sure as hell shouldn't be representing our nation's people from any state. Neither should someone who doesn't believe that criminal illegal aliens should be deported, which is exactly what a Mamdani-endorsed congressional candidate is standing for, of course. Illegal aliens by the thousands. Here it is.
Ms. Chevalier, you recently said on WNYC Radio that defendants who commit crimes should not be deported after serving time. Why is that?
Because we have a criminal system. It's an imperfect system. It's an imperfect criminal system that I've been critical of, but we have one. And if we truly believe in a system where we don't have double jeopardy on the basis of where someone was born, then we cannot also have a system of punishment that is unique to people who were born elsewhere. We need to make sure that if we really value equality in this country, that we are treating people equally, regardless of where they were born. It cannot both be that a person who has citizenship is tried and...
Newsflash, Nimrod. It's not about where they were born. It's about how they got here and the laws they've broken already. The laws they've broken. Democratic socialists will always prioritize the criminals over the sane, law-abiding citizens because they have gone full in on victim mentality. I'm believing that if someone is a rough person, it's because they were a victim. And if someone is successful, they don't deserve to enjoy the benefits of the success of the hard work because they're not a victim. It's a faulty way to look at the world. And allowed to grow, it will destroy us. The rise of democratic socialists like Janice Louis George in Washington, D.C., and Zoran Mamdani in New York signals a dangerous erosion of American principles. Voters seduced by promises of government-run utopias and fueled by Trump derangement syndrome and choosing ideology over sanity and results, embracing policies that defund police, prioritize criminals over citizens, and sow chaos in our streets. We've seen the consequences. Surging crime, cultural decay, and a victimhood mentality that punishes success while excusing lawlessness. Mainstream Democrats' failure to check this radical shift has allowed socialism to fester in urban strongholds, threatening to spread further if left unchecked. As President Trump has warned, federal intervention may be necessary to protect the nation's capital from descending into Gotham-style disorder. Americans must reject this divisive, anti-law, anti-flag worldview. Our republic depends on upholding liberty, personal responsibility, and the rule of law, not envy, division, and government overreach. The choice is clear. Defend the American experiment or watch it crumble under radical experimentation. Nice to see you on a Thursday, by the way. Again, if you missed the top of the program, the deal has been signed. President Trump in Versailles, at the Palace of Versailles, for dinner last night with Emmanuel Macron, the French president, signed the Memo of Understanding. The Prime Minister of Pakistan announcing the reopening of the Strait of Hormuz and the lifting of the U.S. blockade of Iranian ports after the document was signed by President Donald Trump and President Masoud Pezeshkian of Iran. Islamabad MOU shall enter into force with immediate effect, and as a first step, the Islamic Republic of Iran will instantly reopen the Strait of Hormuz, and the United States of America will immediately lift the naval blockade. So said Shehbaz Sharif. I express my profound respect and appreciation to His Eminence Ayatollah Sayyid Moshtaba Hosseini Khamenei, the supreme leader of the Islamic Republic of Iran, and President Masoud Pezeshkian for their wisdom, foresight, and statesmanship in embracing the cause of peace. For now, the war is over. But do we trust Iran? Absolutely not. Are they going to violate? Bet on it. Will we teach them a lesson when they do? You bet we will. Here's my question to you. Do you want another summer like the last one, barely sleeping because it's too hot every night? People blame summer heat for bad sleep when really it just might be what you're sleeping on. You need a better mattress. All right, if it traps heat, you're going to stay hot, you're not going to sleep. I use the Ghost Bed. We switched, 4 months ago, Ivy and I? Look, I woke up again. Great shape again today. Love this thing. Keeps you cool at night, no waking up sweaty, tossing and turning, throwing the covers off at 2 in the morning, none of that. Cooling tech is built into every mattress. It's not some expensive upgrade you have to pay extra for. In fact, these mattresses run about 50% less than all the other major manufacturers. These are made in America, and we love them. Ghost Bed, we love them. Incredible. Support, less stiffness, deeper sleep, more rested mornings. You guys keep asking me, is it real? It's real. It's real. How'd you sleep? I know how I did. By the way, you get 101 nights. Check it out at home. If you don't like it, they will literally come to your house and pick it up. No risk. None. All right? GhostBed offering my audience an extra 10% off. GhostBed.com/Gruber. GhostBed.com/Gruber. Use the promo code Gruber. Like I said, 10% off the best price of the year, which are already better than everybody else. You're going to be thanking me for this. You will. I'll be back. All right, there are many critics of this memorandum of understanding, many. And I'd be remiss if I didn't point out the conversation on both sides. Many conservatives say that they're not happy with this deal. The 14-point framework agreement unveiled yesterday establishes an immediate ceasefire between the United States and Iran. Key provisions, including the reopening of the Strait of Hormuz, removal of U.S. naval blockade, temporary waivers allowing Iranian oil exports access to frozen Iranian assets, and a commitment to negotiate a final agreement within 60 days. It also outlines a proposed economic reconstruction package worth around $300 billion. But President Trump and his administration have made it clear that money doesn't come from us. It comes from regional countries in the Middle East. But my guess is we'll end up throwing some money in that deal. Critics note the agreement does not require the immediate dismantlement of Iran's nuclear infrastructure, the removal of enriched uranium stockpiles, restrictions on Tehran's ballistic missile program, or the disbandment of Iranian-backed proxies like Hezbollah in Lebanon. So there are some concerns with this document. We'll see where it leads us. The president says he likes it. He signed it. But he also said that Iran would pay a very big price if they did not comply. So there you go. We'll see how this all plays out. This part of the program brought to you by my friends at Home Title Lock. HomeTitleLock.com, promo code Gruber25, because right now you can save 25%. 25% on this. Look, this house stealing, I know some of you don't take it seriously, but we do stories here. I see them every day. This person got robbed. That person moved. This person died. Their family took advantage of them. It happens all too often in this interconnected world. You're not paying attention to a piece of vacant ground. Somebody goes and sells it while you're not looking because you're not really paying attention to it. It's vacant ground. Happens every day. But now with Home Title Lock. They monitor your title 24 hours a day. They'll spend up to $1 million if your title gets compromised. They will protect you. HomeTitleLock.com, promo code Gruber25. Save 25% on the deal right now. Gruber25 at HomeTitleLock.com. I'll take a break and be right back. All right, let's weigh in on what people think about this this deal, right? This deal between Iran and the United States, a 60-day period to get a final deal in place where they'll not have a nuclear weapon, so says the President of the United States. Ali Safavi is a member of the Foreign Affairs Committee of the National Council of Resistance of Iran. They're based in Paris and have been since the 1970s. Ali, welcome back to the program.
Well, good morning to you, Steve, and great to be with you as always.
I know you guys are having a giant rally in Paris here in this weekend, over the next couple of days, but let's talk about this agreement first, a 14-point agreement signed by the president personally in Versailles, France, last night. What are your thoughts on what you've seen, what you've heard so far?
Well, when the news of the agreement on the MOU first came out, I think 3 or 4 days ago, the NCRI President-elect Maryam Rajavi welcomed any understanding that would end the war and the suffering of the Iranian people. Because, quite frankly, the Iranian regime, during its entire 45-year history, has used war as a shield to suppress the Iranian people and prevent its overthrow. That was the case in the 1988 8-year war with Iraq, which ended in 1988. And of course, we've seen it both during the June 2025 12-day war and of course the 39-day war in 2026. And case in point, obviously, is, as you see, there has been a staggering rise in the number of executions within Iran under the cover of this war. Some 35 dissidents have been executed since March 19, including 8 members of the MEK. So clearly, we believe that an end to hostilities benefits the Iranian people because it opens the political space for them to come out and vent their anger, just as we saw after the 2025 war. Then you had the huge nationwide protest in January of 2026. And clearly, now that the regime has become much weaker and more vulnerable as a result of the conflict in 2026, clearly the prospects for another uprising, more ferocious, more wide scale, clearly on the horizon. And of course, the organized opposition, the resistance units of the MEK are actively working. As I was coming here, I saw them carrying out 20 different operations against the IRGC, other suppressive centers across Iranian cities as we warm up to the big rally on Saturday here in Paris. So one can talk about the substance of this MOU, and I'm sure this will go on and on and on, but at the end of the day, the onus is on the Iranian regime, whether they're going to put up or shut up. And clearly, I think if past is prologue, the mullahs are very unlikely to give up the nuclear weapons program, just as we saw they didn't do so during the Troika negotiations back in the early 2000s, and of course during the 2015 JCPOA deal with the Obama administration. So the jury is still out as to whether the Iranian regime will hold up its side of the bargain or not.
That's fair. We need to see what they do. They've got 60 days. I do not expect them to comply with the MOU, not in its entirety, not without some more pressure. We'll see how that plays out. But for today, it's good for Iran as far as they can ship oil again. So it's good for the regime. They have money that can move again for the first time in large part in many weeks.
Let me say one thing, Steve, if I
Go
may.
ahead.
Look, the problem with this regime has never been money. I submit to you that if gold rains from the sky, this will not resolve the problems this regime is facing. And these problems are fundamental, they are endemic, they're widespread, they're political, economic, and social. They have, like when Ahmadinejad was the president for 8 years, Iranian oil revenues reached $800 billion. And when he left office, the treasury was in $50 billion in debt. So money doesn't solve these problems. There are structural issues, there is the endemic corruption of the regime, and of course there's the willingness for them to address these problems, and they have shown for the past 45 years that they're not interested in the improvement in the lives of the Iranian regime, Iranian people. For them, the regime's survival is first and foremost, which is why Mrs. Rajavi in that same statement said that the responsibility to change this regime is with the Iranian people and the organized opposition, and we're working at that as we speak. And the future of a 10-point plan, a democratic platform about which we've spoken before.
The democratic process will be front and center at the NCRI gathering coming up this weekend in Paris. Tell me about this. You expect 100,000 people, Iranians, in exile to be there. Big
Yes,
event. You expect a lot. Tell me about it.
Yes, there are actually people coming from both sides of the Atlantic, from the United States, where you are, and of course from all across Europe. And we also have a stellar group of 100 former officials, lawmakers, and dignitaries also attending. And just yesterday, 32 very senior U.S. officials, military, national security, foreign policy experts, issued a statement in support of the rally and in support of NCRI's democratic platform. And they called on the international community to stand with the Iranian people and with the Iranian resistance as they try to bring change to this regime. And one of the main themes of the rally on Saturday will be that in any international agreement with the regime in Iran, human rights, a halt in executions must be front and center. And this will be a very strong message, and I'm sure that people in Iran will hear it. They will be encouraged by it, that they have so much support abroad. And I think policymakers in Europe and in America would also see that when it comes to Iran, there is an alternative, which is not asking foreign powers to bring it to power. It's working itself to bring change and bring democracy to Iran.
So that's your hope then, a year from now. You and I are having this conversation. What are your hopes for that conversation a year from now or 5 years from now, sir?
Well, I think you're a bit pessimistic. I wonder if this regime has 1 year left, because with Khamenei gone, with the top brass of the IRGC gone, with the regime's military structures suffering blows, change might come much sooner than a lot of people expect. Remember that when the Shah was in power and he had the full backing of the West, the US, Britain, others, the CIA issued an analysis in October of 1978 saying that Iran is not in a pre-revolutionary stage, let alone a revolutionary stage. Yet in February of 1979, that island of stability, which President Carter described the Shah's regime, was sent to the ash heap of history.
Right.
So I think, given the determination, the resilience, and the willingness of the Iranian people and the organized opposition to fight for the future of Iran, change might come much sooner, and we may have this conversation much sooner in Tehran than everybody expects.
Well, I expect to see you on the streets of Tehran sometime, Ali. I do. I'm not pessimistic. I'm cautiously optimistic, but this regime has a terrible track record, as you know. I wish you well for your event here this weekend in support of solidarity for the Iranian people. We'll talk again at the beginning of next week and see how it went. Thank you, sir.
Thank you very much, Steve. Really appreciate it.
Appreciate you. They want change. They want freedom. They want what we have. And why wouldn't they? Good to see you on a Thursday. More after this. Welcome back to the program. As you know, Ivy and I were on the road here for a few days just recently, and I was in Florida, so it was hot, you know, but the biggest concern, I couldn't take my ghost bed with me on the road. Trust me, it changed everything. I track my sleep every night. My scores went way down, and I got back, and it's like, boom. Scores go right back to where they belong because I'm sleeping better because of the ghost bed. It's an American-made sleeping system. It's got all sorts of patents, and it comes from my friend Mark Werner of GhostBed, who's joining me now. Mark, nice to see you this morning.
Good to see you, Steve. Thank you for having GhostBed.
Yeah, look, it was a great Airbnb. Ivy always does well in that regard, but she can't say, hey, do you have a ghost bed? She wasn't able to ask that, but we got back to our bed. It feels so much better, and it's just, I love the bed. We've had it for about 4 or 5 months now. It just works for us, and I couldn't be more thrilled. And I know you get testimonials like that all the time, and I think it's just terrific. You're changing lives because sleep is so important.
Sleep is so important, and thank you. We are changing lives, you know, one mattress at a time, one person at a time, and you just look at the reviews. We have over 100,000 reviews on our ghostbed.com platform, on Costco, where we sell, Sam's Club, Amazon, so it's totally independent platforms, and the reviews are all saying the same thing. It's very high scores, it's life-changing, I can't believe my back pain went away, my hip pain, I'm sleeping through the night, I sleep cooler. These are great feedback things, and we take cues from every customer feedback, and I read every one of them, so we learn things, and then we make some tweaks to the product and develop new products as we go along.
Yeah, and every step of the way you improve the product. Look, the Werner name is synonymous with innovation and patents. You were the latter company. And that name lives on today. It's multi-generational. And so when it came into designing and creating and improving, this is part of your DNA, isn't it?
This is totally part of my DNA. My grandfather started the Werner Company 100 plus years ago. My dad's the guy who invented the aluminum ladder, including the alloy to make it and the machines to make it, and then fiberglass to make the fiberglass ladder. So again, the polymer technology, the equipment, etc. And that's a standard today globally, and it became the dominant market share company in the United States.
Sure.
And so many inventions, so much of that stuff. And then when I grew up in that environment, and then the company sold 25 years ago, and I started GhostBed with my wife here in the States, in the Midwest, and now we're in Florida. And we're all about innovation, high quality product at affordable prices. That's part of the key. You got to have it affordable.
You know, I tell people, and I just got a text message this morning. I told you this before we came on. A friend of mine, are they really as good as you say? I need a new bed. I said, they are. And I said, and if you don't like it, they really will show up and pick it up. For some reason, I haven't had anybody tell me that yet. I've had all sorts of emails and feedback and conversations with my audience here that have bought the ghost bed. Nobody's sending it back because they love it. But when I talk about innovation, I talk about the beds in the Airbnb. They're fine, but they're not a ghost bed. It's almost the 4th of July. These RVs that sell for $100,000, $200,000, $500,000, great equipment, they show up with the worst, cheapest mattress you can possibly imagine, and I know you're looking at that, too, to improve people's sleep, aren't you?
We are. So we have our RV mattress collection, because we heard from customers, and we know, because of ex-RVer, that 20% of the country have RVs and love the camping life. But that comes with a very cheap mattress. You know, so $100,000 to $500,000, like you said, and you get this cheap mattress. So we develop an all-foam one and a hybrid version, and they're typically a shorter, narrower type mattress than what's in your home. So it's called a short queen or a short king. People love them, and once they get that RV mattress, then they're like, I want that in my house. Or if they have it in the house, they say, I want it in my RV. So it's been a great winning combination. Our scores on that, our review scores are super high. People just absolutely love it. And camping is all about camping and sleeping on a great mattress. So you got to put the two together.
Yeah, my friend today asked me, and this is an important question. I don't think anybody has asked me this before. He said, do you have the foam or the hybrid? I have the hybrid. That doesn't mean that's for everybody. That means that's what Ivy and I love. We love this hybrid, but you also have all foam mattresses. And again, I want to emphasize this. You're putting people to work in America. This is an American company with American employees putting out a great product, hazard I say, at a better price than some of the big competitors you have out there, and you're beating the pants off them. But I like the American-made part, Mark, because you continue to stay true to the American worker.
We absolutely do that. And we're probably as much as 50% less than our competitors. But quality-wise, there or higher. You know, I will never tampen down the quality. We're all about quality. As my grandfather used to love to say, profits follow quality. It might not be that day, that month, or that year, but you do the right thing, you'll be rewarded in the long term. And that's what we're about. We're a family business with longevity. My wife and I started this 25 years ago. Our kids are in it. Hopefully our grandkids come into it. That's the whole purpose of a family business, and just keep that innovation and that quality and that mindset and that family orientation to all of our customers and all of our staff as one.
You know, and that was true at the Ladder Company. It's true today. There is a standard of performance that you adhere to, and it runs. I mean, I can tell, you know, the kind of company you run. I've dealt with not just you, but your people. There's a standard, and that standard is reflected in the quality of the product. Mark Werner, I appreciate you being here. I'm going to tell the folks how they can get one, but we'll talk again soon.
Thank you so much, Steve.
Really appreciate it. Listen, guys, I do have the bed. We have the Hybrid King. We love this bed. I mean, I'm just going to tell you, look, I get up real early, so does Ivy, to do this program every day. If we're not well rested, it's going to show. And I can tell you right now, we're well rested. So you can find out more at ghostbed.com. They will give you 101 nights free to try it at home. Again, if you don't like it, they will pick it up. Yeah. So how many more summers are you going to flip-flop around and sleep hot? Don't do that anymore. Ghostbed.com. They're offering my audience an extra 10% off right now. You've got financing, too. Ghostbeds come out at about $1 a day. You can't beat that. Go to ghostbed.com/Gruber. Use the promo code Gruber. You're going to save that extra 10% right now over the best price of the year. Ghostbed.com/Gruber. And then send me the email because I want to hear your story about how it worked for you, too. I'll take a break and be right back. All right, I want to share something freaky with you, all right? Something that we've talked about on this program, we've all talked about, the long-term effects of the COVID jab. The fact that they experimented on all of us, and they did. Well, not all of us. They experimented on millions of people. How about that? Anthony, will you cue up bite number 10, please? I want you to hear this from funeral directors and what they see in their practices. If this doesn't make your skin crawl, nothing will. Listen to this.
This is the very first time that a United States State Funeral Director Association president or former president has come out to talk about these unusual white fibrous clots that embalmers with 20 or 30 years of experience have never seen in their corpses before until the years of COVID and the COVID vaccines. In my latest worldwide survey, it was about 1 out of every 5 corpses had this phenomenon in them. What are you seeing, Chris?
Tom, I would say it's a little bit higher than that. I've been seeing it in probably 30 to 40% of each and every body that I embalm. And the sizes of the clots that Tom just showed are actually small to what I've been seeing. They've been the size of the arteries that have been coming out. You can't ignore this stuff. You really can't. These are foreign bodies that we have never come across, or at least I have never come across in the 10 years that I've been.
Trust the science, right? I know that got your attention. Large fibrous clots, bizarre clots, not just from ordinary people, from the Funeral Directors Association, 2 of their main people. They ran a game on us in so many different ways. Let's let that sink in for a minute. Tell me what you think. Go to stevegruber.com, send me an email. I look at them all. I read them all. I respond to as many as I can, and I appreciate hearing from you. stevegruber.com, send me an email. Don't forget to follow us on YouTube as well. Become a subscriber for free. Catch the podcast Forgotten America with me and Ivy. You're going to love this one. There's the QR code right on your screen. Scan it. You're on your way. And we're on our way to the second hour. Robert F. Kennedy Jr. coming up in a few minutes.
America's awake, and we're just getting started. The headlines that matter, the stories they won't tell you, and the voices fighting to be heard. This is your country, your morning, your daybreak with Steve and Ivy Gruber. A new hour starts right now on Real America's Voice.
All right, welcome back as we continue fighting for you from the foxhole of freedom, digging deeper and giving you better analysis than anybody else. Here are three big things you need to know this hour. Number one, in Canada, the doofus Prime Minister Mark Carney, what a clown, says he'll be shifting away from America and align the nation up north with the EU, even suggesting joining the EU. Good luck with that, moron. Number two, oil continues to drop in price. It's now $74 a barrel. Gas officially beneath $4 a gallon on the nationwide average. Soon under $3. We'll get there. And number three, a bit of breaking news, just so you have it to begin with. Donald Trump signed the Memo of Understanding with Iran in person at the Palace of Versailles last night. So did the Iranian president. So it's all taken care of for now. Now the question is, will Iran uphold its end of the bargain? That's the real question. All right? All right, so shifting gears. Knowing what you know. Now, how can anyone vote for a progressive candidate? Seriously. We talked to a woman with a permanent brain injury while playing against a boy in a high school volleyball game. It's going to be on the podcast coming up. And Ivy and I talked to them in detail. She is permanently injured, had a brain bleed after getting a spike in the face from a boy playing across the net. And I'm seeing this movement. They can show you what the polls say and this and that, but the Democrats are not anywhere near where they think they are. Here's a lifelong Democrat saying what so many, millions in fact, are thinking. Listen.
People don't want to hear the truth. The truth is bitter, but we have to swallow it. The Democratic Party, I voted for over 20 years of my life. I voted for Barack Obama when he said he was going to bring hope and change. And yes, we can. And no, we didn't. The jobs didn't come. The better schools didn't come. The investment in our communities did not come. National security, our borders are open. We're not safe. We're not safe. And we've got to stop thinking as black and white and purple and Arab. We've got to start thinking as Americans. And that's what Donald Trump is saying. We're Americans, America first.
You have to remember, Donald Trump is the head of Trump Organization. And when you look into that organization, it is filled with blacks, whites, Hispanics, Arabs, Asians. It's different religions, different creeds.
Boy, is she on the money. America first. It's a wake-up call for the Democrats, or it's not. They continue to elect these Democratic socialists, all right? So that's what's happening. You know, Robert F. Kennedy Jr., I spoke to him yesterday afternoon. I'm going to play that interview for you here. Oh, in about 20 minutes. Talking about real food, real opportunity, a real change in the food pyramid, changing the way we live in America. You know, obesity, for the first time in 50 years, obesity rates in America have fallen. Unbelievable, right? Part of that is real food. And speaking of the Forgotten America podcast, coming up this week, it's Molly Engelhart. All you have to do is go to YouTube, look at Steve Gruber, click on the podcast Forgotten America, become a subscriber. It's free. But Molly Engelhart, another lifelong Democrat, lived in the state of California, right? And then she said, this is crazy. She was vegan for years and realized it was destroying her health, so she started introducing meat items into the restaurants she owned. They all rebelled. She lost her restaurant. She says, I'm good. I'm out of here. Became a regenerative farmer. Became a conservative. Here's part of that conversation. Listen.
And I ultimately think the more we can take care of the vessel that holds our soul and the longer we can be here with our family, that is priceless. And so I think it's incredibly important to eat fermented foods, eat clean foods, sourdough bread, no chemicals, no additives, eat whole foods in the way they were meant to be made. And God has a design. And if we follow that design, we will flourish. And if we go away from that design, then we do not flourish. And it's very, very obvious. And so it's not complicated. And I know it feels scary or hard or expensive, but eating whole foods in the way they were created originally is actually can be cheaper. It doesn't, you might not going to eat filet mignon every day, but eating vegetables, meat, eggs, staying on the outer perimeters of the grocery store is the first step. And then the second step is to try to get those things locally and get them from a farmer that you know didn't spray them. But we are noticing all of the things. Our fertility is dropping, testosterone is dropping. Boys are not even getting Adam's apples anymore. There's the Adam's apples in the 50s compared to now are like half the size or less. That is because there's so much estrogen coming from our foods, from our cleaning products, from our laundry soap. And we just have to protect our young men and not dip them in things that are going to turn them into
Feminine.
more
Yeah,
feminine.
feminine. Lifelong Democrat, vegan, living in California. COVID comes along. She sees the light. She flees to Texas, sets up a farm there, has a restaurant there, farm-to-table restaurant. Complete transformation, realizing she's been lied to for decades. I think this is coming full circle, my friends. I do. With people like Molly Engelhart there. And again, that's on the podcast. You know, and it's not just about the food you eat. It's about coming full circle. What do I mean by that? I mean, she believes in the Second Amendment as well. She believes in America first. Here's one more little snippet.
I believe that we should have all the guns that we want. The government should have no say, because the reason we're meant to have the right to bear arms is to bring checks and balances to the government. It's not for duck hunting. Our forefathers were not like, oh my goodness, freedom of speech, and then duck hunting. It was not the reason. So we have to understand there should be no restrictions, in my opinion, on the Second Amendment. I believe that we should have all the guns that we want, but we cannot let our guns be a pacifier when they are taking our land, they are taking our ability to grow food, they are taking our ability to reproduce away from us by sterilizing us, and we don't have anything to protect with those guns. I may have 25 guns, but if my land cannot produce food and my children cannot grow to healthy adulthood, what am I protecting?
Yeah, what a great question. And what a great conversation from a lifelong Democrat who said, you know what? I was wrong. Well, welcome aboard, Molly. This is the truth train over here. The relentless pursuit of truth happens here every single day. And we're conversion therapists when it comes to leftists, right? I do conversion therapy here every day. Talking truth, talking common sense. Eat real food. Raise your kids. Respect the Constitution, including the Second Amendment. It's all true. It's there on your screen, by the way. You can catch this and so many other episodes of fascinating people, fascinating conversations. Ivy and I, we drop them every Monday morning at 9. This is the one that's out there right now, Molly Engelhart. It's a great conversation. If you're a farmer or you have a garden or you think you should, or you just want to hear some common sense, there it is. Become a free subscriber at Steve Gruber on YouTube. You can stand up and really get educated. Good stuff. Robert F. Kennedy Jr. still coming. I'll be right back. I want to stay with this this thought of correcting our path, if you will. And we're talking about the food and these people that are leaving the left, right? We had this idea in America, you know, you get married, if it doesn't work out, no big deal. Divorce is easy, just whatever. You have more people going back to church. You have this whole upheaval with what people eat. They don't want garbage anymore. They want real food. There's this return to common sense and truth, right? And so here's the question. Is faithfulness in marriage the key to flourish? For humanity, for society, for people to flourish, is faithfulness in a marriage key? I think it could be one of the big answers. Chris Ullman, the president of the Eagle Forum, joins me to answer that question. Chris, good morning.
Good morning, Steve. It's great to be with you.
The nuclear family, it is the building block of society, all societies. It is the building block. It is the foundation. And yet in America and a lot of Western civilization, divorce became, you know, whatever. If it doesn't work out, just get divorced. Don't work hard. Don't bother. Just, you know, move on and get married again and again and again. Is faithfulness the key here, Chris?
Well, you know, a recent article in the Washington Post suggests that it is. They looked at marriage, faithful marriage. They specifically said that the quality of your marriage matters and the faithfulness in your marriage matters, and that people who are in long-term faithful marriages have better health outcomes. They have lower cancer rates. They have lower incidence of heart trouble and better mental health than non-married people, than divorced people, or separated people. So marriage is good for your health, as you know, emotionally and physically.
Yeah, a good marriage is. Good marriage is good for you. My marriage rocks, by the way, Chris. It does.
Fine.
You know, people look at us and say, I want to be like those guys. And they should. We have just a wonderful marriage. And you know what? I think you're right. It keeps you young, keeps you healthy, keeps you interested, keeps you engaged, right? It keeps you living, right?
Well, you know, there's nothing in this world like having somebody who cares about you more than they care about themselves, which is a line from, I believe, The Music Man, where she sings, I want someone who cares more about us than he does about himself. And that is one of the benefits of marriage. When you have a spouse, and I'm going to tell you this, Steve, the benefits are actually greater for men than women, primarily because single men engage in risky behavior, whether it's drugs and alcohol, whether it's riding motorcycles or parachuting out of planes or just doing kind of the silly, stupid guy things that guys do. Once guys get married and have children, they start thinking about their spouse and their children, and they engage in less risky behavior, and it turns out that they have better health outcomes. There's nothing like a wife telling you, honey, you need to go to the doctor. You need to have that spot checked out. And what we see over time is that this idea of being in a committed relationship with somebody who really cares about you is actually good for you.
Yeah.
And that's why at Eagle Forum, we're so happy to promote the idea of Fidelity Month. This is June, and it's Fidelity Month. It's not Pride Month. It's the time when we commit faithfulness to our God, to our families, and to our country.
You know, that is just a remarkably wonderful thing you just said, Chris. God, family, country, because that's what we believe here. You know, and back to the point you were making. I guess this is why Ivy chases me around the kitchen every morning with vitamins in her hands. Hey, you didn't take your vitamins yet.
She loves you.
Yeah, it's why I have a cardiologist and have never had a heart issue in my life. I have a cardiologist. Why? Yeah. I don't know. She said we should just get it checked. We should just get it checked.
Right.
Yeah, anyhow, I think that what you're saying is absolute foundation. It's biblical truth. You know, men and women together is the way the world is supposed to be. You're supposed to have a partner in this thing. And I could not possibly agree more. And I think you look at the health outcomes. That's remarkable to me. Better physical health, greater emotional well-being, increased financial stability, which, by the way, plays into all of that because people that are single or divorced twice, whatever, they give away their money out, so they're stressed about money. When you build something together, whether it's a family or a household or a financial future, all of these things matter, don't they?
They do matter. And I'm glad you brought up the financial. The St. Louis Federal Reserve found that married men do better financially. And again, I think it comes down to the commitment that men make when they make the commitment. And again, we're talking about fidelity and faithfulness to their wives, to their children. They want to work harder. They want to provide. And that's better for children. Children who are born into a committed married relationship, one man, one woman, do better academically, they do better physically, they do better emotionally. So not everybody has that, and we understand that. But we want to promote that, especially to the young. It's great to find a spouse with whom you agree on these issues and get married and have children. It's so good for you. There's a lot of talk now that marriage and children are a burden. They're a blessing.
Yeah, they are. A lot of people, however, have been through bad marriages. They're never going to marry again. And I understand that if they've been through a bad situation. But for those that are married in a good marriage, the benefits are remarkable. Last word to you, Chris.
Well, I just want to say to everybody that this Fidelity Month, we all need to pledge to be faithful to our God, to our spouses, and to our country. And it starts with us, especially with our spouses. We can say they need to change, or we can say I need to change. I need to commit to fidelity and faithfulness. And I just wish everybody a happy 4th of July. I've got my patriotic scarf on today because I'm getting ready to celebrate our nation's birthday and to be faithful to those principles of America as well.
Chris Allman, God bless you. Good conversation. Nice and uplifting and positive this morning. Thank you for that.
Yes. Thank you. See you soon.
There you have it. See you soon. God, country, family. That's what we believe in here at Daybreak, and I hope you do too. I'll be right back. You know who loves America? Everybody that comes here. Pretty much. That's who loves America. Everybody that comes here. All of these soccer fans. I'm not a soccer fan, but I cannot get enough of this. Of the people from France and England and Africa and wherever else just loving America and everything they see. The Scots, however, have created a problem. If you missed it. The Scottish soccer fans have created a beer emergency in the city of Boston. They drank the place dry. Well, if you're going to have a good time. Yeah, they have drank the place dry. Emergency beer deliveries are happening in the city of Boston now. They got their first World Cup win since 1990. All those kilt-wearing fans were marching through Fenway Park. They just went bananas. Yeah. It's just fun to celebrate this great country of ours. 250 years. 250, and it's not been easy. Big obstacles to overcome. But here we are, and the people that come here, they recognize America for what it is, the best there has ever been. And yes, I'm a homer. I'm a fan. All right? For the first time since World War II, our national debt, held by the public has exceeded GDP. America, this is a wake-up call. Sins of the past of reckless government spending, well, you can't just ignore it forever. So what's next? Higher inflation, higher prices, higher cost living expenses, interest payments not going down, the Fed holding the line yesterday. You see, every dollar that is spent by Washington is spent, it has to be taxed, borrowed, or printed. Smart retirement planners prepare for potential setbacks. They can do that by diversifying with a time-tested asset known for weathering the storm, physical gold. From my trusted friends at Birch Gold. Text the word America to the number 989898, and Birch Gold will send you a free information kit on converting an existing IRA or 401k into a tax-sheltered IRA in physical gold. You don't pull the ripcord when you hit the ground, right? You don't wait for economic turbulence to diversify. Text America to the number 989898. Again, text America to 989898. Own some gold from Birch Gold. Coming up after the break, Robert F. Kennedy Jr., the Secretary of Health and Human Services, joins me for a conversation. We recorded it yesterday. I'll share it next on Daybreak. Welcome back to the program. Make America healthy again. Look, it starts with you. It does. The government can only do so much, but there are big changes happening in government under the tutelage of RFK Jr., the Secretary of Health and Human Services. He's joining me now on the program. Mr. Secretary, thank you for being here.
Hey, thank you for having me back, Steve.
Glad to have you. I know you're doing a Take Back Your Health tour, and I want to get to that, but I want to talk about a couple of other things that I've heard you say just in the last couple of days that I think are so very important. You made an announcement that obesity in America is down for the first time in decades. And for me, that was a revelation. It's something we talk about in this program a lot, the health of the American people. We are the sickest people in the world, and dropping obesity rates is one of the most important things we can possibly do. What a credit to this administration. What are you doing differently that's making such an impact?
We don't know exactly what caused it. We know, there's a lot of changes. There are dietary changes that we can measure from the grocery chains. People are buying differently. They're buying much more protein now. We're seeing that in every part of the economy. The farmers, the ranchers are reporting it. The big grocery chains are reporting it. Americans are demanding healthier food, and that clearly has an impact. I think the prices, that we negotiated with the pharmaceutical industry to drop the price of GLP-1s probably has also had a significant impact. We did that, Americans, when I came in, for the past 40 years have paid the highest drug price of any nation in the world. Every president has tried to put an end to this discrepancy. Clinton promised to do it, Biden, Obama, Bush. Nobody's been able to do it. But now under President Trump's leadership, we've negotiated agreements with the top 17 drug manufacturers in the world that Americans will get the lowest drug prices in the world instead of the highest ones. We were paying 10 times in some cases what Europeans were. I'll just give you an example. Ozempic, when I came in, the list price was $1,350 a month. In the United States, in Europe, in London, Hamburg, Munich, Paris, they were paying $88. And we've now negotiated that down so Americans will be receiving paying the lowest price in the world instead of the highest, and that's going to be true across the board for all new drugs and for the largest categories of existing drugs as well.
And those are all very important. And this comes after you changed the food pyramid, which I think is brilliant. We haven't followed the food pyramid in my lifetime because we thought it was completely upside down. You proved that to be true. And changing the fact of what people eat to real food. Real food matters. Real food is medicine, isn't it?
What happened, Steve, is the food processing industry captured the FDA. So for 50 years, we've been getting horrible advice. When I came in, I was handed a dietary guidelines that the Biden administration had been working on for 4 years. They were 453 pages long. They were incomprehensible, and the recommendations were written by food industry lobbyists and reflected the mercantile impulses that had put Fruit Loops at the top of the food pyramid.
Yeah.
We developed over 11 months. We brought the best nutritionists in the world together, and we developed science-based guidelines that put real food at the center of the American plate. Real meat, protein, eggs, dairy, cheese, and then fruits and vegetables and whole grains. And we flipped it upside down, which is how it ought to be. Give a broad category of food at the top that is healthy for you and good food. But we did it all in 10 pages. And it really can be summarized, as you said, in 3 words: eat real food.
Yeah.
This is going to drive changes in the dietary culture in our country. One mechanism for that is that we give out about $9 billion in food subsidies annually, $405 million a day, to SNAP, to WIC, to Head Start, to the Indian Health Services, to school lunches. And now all of them are going to have to align with the food pyramid, and the military is now changing all of its food under the leadership of Pete Hegseth. And And our soldiers are now going to get real fresh food at the military reservations. And I've been visiting them. And they're actually, the extraordinary thing is, I went to a military base in Utah this week. Only a third of the food was being eaten before we came in. It was being thrown away. Now there were 600 soldiers a day visiting the facility. Now there's 3,000. There's lines around the block. They're fighting to get in. And we were paying for the really crappy food that the soldiers were getting. And the Pentagon was paying $18.50 a day for 3 meals for each soldier. Today so we're giving them food and it's less money. So it's win-win.
Yeah, absolutely. Now, it's not just physical health in America, it's mental health, it's addiction. We have these problems, and that's part of your Great American Recovery Initiative. $700 million in investment in mental health and addiction recovery programs. Look, mental health has been medicated in America, but the root causes, in my estimation, have not been examined closely enough. What is the plan here for your Great American Recovery Initiative?
Well, we're attacking it from every angle. 2 weeks ago, the Surgeon General, working under me and President Trump, released warnings about screen time. Right now, we've got our children, 16-year-olds in this country, spending 8.5 hours a day on the screen. And we've been sponsoring bell-to-bell legislation. 25 states have now passed it that will restrict cell phone use in schools. We're also changing the diet in schools. Diet also drives a mental health crisis. And giving good food to kids helps them do so many things. It helps them regulate their emotions. It decreases the rates of ADD and ADHD. They get better grades, and there's less disciplinary problems, both from the decrease in screen time and the improvement in the food.
Seems like common sense, doesn't it? Less screen time, real food. Don't give them a Mountain Dew and set them in front of the screen, right? And wonder why they're misbehaving. I think that Robert F. Kennedy Jr. has done a solid job for America. I do. I mean, the food pyramid, for starters, I never paid attention to it anyway, right? The idea that you should eat all this macaroni and all this carbohydrates and a little bit of protein, it's backwards. And it was backwards for the military and for the school lunch programs and all of that. Thankfully, he came along and said, that's wrong. We can correct that. We can have better food for the kids, better food for the military, and better outcomes for everybody, right? I've got a few more minutes with RFK Jr. still to come. Nice to see you today. What are your thoughts on Make America Healthy Again? Go to stevegruber.com. Drop me a note. I look forward to reading it soon. We'll be back with more RFK Jr. right here on Daybreak. All right, back to it now. I just feel that it was the kind of shakeup that this country needed. Somebody to come in with fresh eyes and say, look, we're doing these things wrong. We're beholden to this big industry or that big industry. They're paying money, but they're not really looking at the outcomes. They're not worried about the benefit to you and I. They're worried about how much money they make. Right? And I'm a capitalist, but sometimes, you know, the pursuit of money can get us a lot of bad returns. Let me continue now with my conversation with Robert F. Kennedy, Jr. Screen time, incredibly important. I mean, we've seen the studies of the impact of screen time on young children and even older kids. Look, I think we had a failure in this country when we put tech in charge of our classrooms beginning about 2010. The test scores have gone down. The performance has gone down. The cognitive abilities have gone down. Is that something you're looking into?
Yeah, I mean, the stories that we're hearing from the schools who have adopted our guidelines are extraordinary. The test scores going up 30%, disciplinary problems down 50 or 60%. The kids who are about to be referred for psychotherapy don't need it. And they're able to negotiate, to mediate, and they're able to control or dysregulate their emotions. And the cafeterias, Steve, are loud again. You know, the kids aren't 600 kids sitting in a room looking at their laps and a cell phone in their laps. That's gone.
Good.
The kids are talking to each other and they're socializing and building connections, and that's what we need to do. And we need to get parents cooking at home again. That's a sacred ritual that brings families together. A lot of them, because of the convenience of ultra-processed food, have forgotten to cook. And we've got 6,000 uniformed officers of our commission corps who are now going out all around the country, teaching parents how to cook, how to buy cutlery, how to shop for their groceries. And we're going to reintroduce that treasured ritual of eating with your family and cooking a meal that brings people together and increases the bonds.
Very, very true. I have one last quick question for you because you mentioned addiction. And in Michigan, where I live, and in too many states across this country, there are weed shops on every corner. There are gummies and powerful marijuana and drugs that are far more powerful than they were when I was a kid in school or in college. Let's be honest about that. That has to have a negative impact. Do we need to roll that back a little bit? Last question to you.
Right now, we're looking at regulating and rescheduling the 7-OH, which is the gas store heroin that's available in every gas station now.
Yeah.
And it is the next, if we don't deschedule that, it's going to be the next wave of the opioid crisis. We're also, in addition to that, as you pointed out, we're putting in a massive amount of investment into recovery treatment, and recovery treatment that is evidence-based, science-based, and that actually works, and faith-based treatment too, which the Biden administration tried to get rid of.
Yeah. You had a lot of critics when you first came in, sir, but I think you continue to hit the mark. Food pyramid, recovering, eating real food. The Great American Recovery Initiative, I think, is something that America needs, and I appreciate you spending time with us today discussing it, sir. Thank you.
Thanks for having me back, Steve. I always enjoy talking with you.
Thank you, sir. I'll be honest, I genuinely like him. I do. I genuinely like him. I think he's a true believer in trying to help this country, to help people eat properly. And look, the screen time that he said there, 8.5 hours a day. You know, you mix that with highly processed garbage that you find in the middle of the grocery store. We heard this earlier from Molly, and I've said this for years. If you want to eat real food, stay on the outside walls of your supermarket. You got the meat department, the fresh vegetables and fruits. You've got the bakery, you've got the dairy. There are your 4 outside walls. You start to go to the middle, you find things that are food-like products. They look like food and smell like food, but they're not food. They're highly processed garbage. All those seed oils and preservatives, and dies. This is why we shoot deer around here. Free-range organic red meat. Look, it's who we are. That's why we have a garden out there that the deer have been eating. Anthony had to tackle one in the yard yesterday. It was great. It was a great open field tackle, but good Lord. The deer will eat you out of house and home if you don't pay attention to it. But all of these things, all kidding aside, a return to the basics, the things your mom and grandmother and grandfather used to say, you know, nothing in excess. Sure, you can have a Coke here and there, but you can't have 3 or 4 of them. You can have some ice cream, but not 3 or 4 scoops every day. It's pretty simple stuff. And that's why I just really like him and have a great relationship with RFK Jr. because he believes it. He believes in the truth. He believes in what's good for you. He believes what's good for all of us. And I think that's really, really important. And I look forward to talking to him again sometime soon. When it comes to coffee, I love it. Love that, too. That's good for me. 1775 coffee isn't your average coffee. High performance. 1775 coffee, bold. Single origin from Bolivia. I love it. And you can love it, too. It's fuel to keep you strong, sharp, and unstoppable. That's why I use it. Just darn good coffee. And your body will thank you, and so will I, because you'll stay awake for the show, which I greatly appreciate. You can be bold. 1775coffee.com. Promo code's Gruber for 10% off. It's what we drink here every day. By the gallon. You know, by the gallon, 1775 coffee. My doctor said, how much coffee do you drink? And I said, well, how much do you drink? And she got a little funny look on her face. She drinks more than I do. So if my doctor can drink that much coffee, cheers to you. 1775coffee.com. Promo code is Gruber. Save 10% and be bold. I'll be back after this. All right, let's check in on sports now with Brock Palmbush.
With a look at sports, I'm Brock Palmbush. 4 more games at the World Cup yesterday. Portugal and the Congo played to a 1-1 tie. England beat Croatia 4-2. Ghana scored in stoppage time to beat Panama 1-0, and it was Colombia over Uzbekistan 3-1. 4 more games today at the World Cup. A full schedule in Major League Baseball. American League winners included Toronto, Kansas City, and Houston. National League winners included the New York Mets, Milwaukee, and San Diego. We're down to the finals at the College Baseball World Series in Omaha, Nebraska. North Carolina and Oklahoma both won semifinal games yesterday. The Tar Heels beat West Virginia 12-7. Then Oklahoma thrashed Georgia 11-4. The championship series between the Tar Heels and Sooners begin on Saturday. And in the WNBA, there were 6 games. Winners included New York, Washington, Minnesota, and Las Vegas. That's a look at sports. Back to you, Steve.
All right, Brock, thank you for that. Love the World Cup. Not a soccer fan, don't care, just love the fact that folks are here having a great time. I appreciate them being in my country and recognizing what the left seems to forget, that we are the best damn country ever. All right, good. Oil fell below $75 a barrel. The official price of gasoline is now below $4 a gallon. National average, according to AAA, $3.99. And in some places, significantly less. In fact, in some stations, in places like Indiana, you can find gas under $3 a gallon if you get lucky. We're all going to get lucky soon. Here's the forecast. I'd like to share this with you. The International Energy Agency, right? They say next year we're going to have a surplus of oil, because global supply will increase by 8 million barrels a day, but demand will only increase 2 million barrels a day. So the end of with Donald Trump signing the memo of understanding at the Palace of Versailles yesterday, along with the Iranian president, who also signed the document, the Strait of Hormuz is open. Energy production in the United States is increasing. The forecast for 2027 is really, really good. Glad to be part of it. Glad you're here. Don't forget to send me emails at stevegruber.com, right? We've got a lot more to do here yet today, so I'll take a break and be right back.
America's awake, and we're just getting started. The headlines that matter, the stories they won't tell you, and the voices fighting to be heard. This is your country, your morning, your daybreak with Steve and Ivy Gruber. A new hour starts right now.
All right, let's jump right into it. A lot to cover here today. Three big things to cover this hour. Number one, the price of oil below $75. Pretty incredible. The price of oil below $75. Number two, the Americans are celebrating with their people and their friends from all over the country. It's remarkable to see. I love it. I absolutely love it. And number three, this just coming across the wire. This is shocking and outrageous. The terror plot targeting the UFC fight at the White House on Sunday. The ringleader is an illegal alien. This, according to Fox News, the ringleader of the attempted terrorist attack on the White House is an illegal alien using a false name. Abraham Alvarez from Mexico, identified in federal documents as the alleged ringleader in a plot to carry out a mass casualty event at the UFC White House event June the 14th, an illegal alien from Mexico. Overstayed his visa. That according to Homeland Security. Alvarez came to the U.S. as a child granted by the Obama administration in 2014 deportation relief through the DACA program. The DACA program. He failed to leave the country when his visa expired in 2001, 5 years ago. I bet the ladies on The View over there babbling going, oh, they're such innocent people and we have to protect the children. Shut up! This is outrageous. An illegal alien on our soil coming trying to kill the president and create a mass casualty event at the White House. 5 co-conspirators arrested so far for planning with others to use drones equipped with explosives to force an evacuation from the White House. And in the chaos, a team of snipers set to open fire on the crowds. An illegal alien. I cannot emphasize that enough. Federal investigators claim Alvarez was responsible for planning, organizing, and directing the planned attack. Court records outed him, that is, a foreign national, considering he consented to a consular notification after his arrest this weekend, though the documents provided no information on his specific immigration status or country of origin. U.S. Immigration and Customs lodged a detainer for Alvarez. He was arrested by the FBI on the day of the fight in Omaha, Nebraska. The White House and FBI declined to comment when asked by Fox News about the whereabouts of other individuals. This illegal alien from Mexico should never have been allowed in our country, said DHS Acting Assistant Secretary Lauren Biss. He was the ringleader of a failed terror attack targeting UFC Freedom 250 at the White House. He will face justice and swiftly be removed from our country. After plans for the initial attack Sunday, federal authorities claim the plotters planned a second wave where they would storm the White House gate. The co-conspirators purportedly sought to jumpstart a revolution in the U.S. with the violence, citing grievances such as government corruption, the handling of the Epstein files, data centers using water, and the influence of Israel over domestic politics. You don't like the government here, pal? Go back to Mexico. See how corrupt that place is. What a turd. Alvarez used the name Shepard. In a group chat dedicated to planning the attack, he was responsible for planning, organizing, and directing this attack, according to the Department of Justice. As many as deadly as we can get, he allegedly responded when asked by a fellow plotter when asked about making drones with explosives. Authorities say that he claimed to have had a working drone. Investigators now have identified 23 individuals part of the alleged plot. Only 5 arrests have been made so far. It is unclear why the UFC event proceeded with many of those involved in the plot still at large. The State Department did not respond to an inquiry from Fox News Digital regarding whether or not it would revoke Alvarez's DACA immigration status if he's found guilty. If convicted of conspiracy to commit murder, each plotter faces a maximum penalty of life in prison, a $250,000 fine. Planning to carry out violence on White House grounds carries an additional maximum penalty of 5 years in prison. J.D. Vance said that the plans to attack the White House were not that advanced, knowing that the plot was relatively undeveloped when it was caught. None of the suspects actually ended up in town during the event. The FBI, our law enforcement partners, and our U.S. attorneys did what they do every day to make America safe through quick response and vigilance in investigating, disrupting, and dismantling this alleged plan before it could be carried out. Acting Attorney General Todd Blanche quoted saying the DOJ press release, "We will take immediate and aggressive action to identify and prosecute those who incite and plan acts of violence." UFC CEO Dana White claimed that multiple threats were made against the White House event, noting that these are the kind of events that bring the nuts out. "This is normal stuff," said Dana. President Trump faced a string of security threats since he was first wounded in an attempted assassination July 13, 2024, at a campaign rally event in Butler, Pennsylvania. Multiple attempts on the president's life. But an illegal alien being the ringleader, that should make your blood boil. It makes mine boil. It is time to take our country back. If you're not here legally, we're going to arrest you and show you the door. And if you keep coming back, we're going to throw you out. If you come here and steal from America, we're going to throw you out. If you come here and deal deadly drugs, we're going to throw you out. If you come here and contribute and say the Pledge of Allegiance and love America, by God, you can stay. Anything short of that, there's the door. Anything short of that, there's the door. Get out. We've all busted our asses our entire lives. It's what's expected of Americans. Work hard. If that's not going to get done, work harder. And if that's not going to get done, work even harder yet. But do not come here and commit fraud. Do not come here and plot terror attacks against my president, against my White House, against my country. I find it so outrageous. Get the hell out if you don't like it. You think the rest of the world is so great? Go check it out. If you want to hate your country, listen to the national news media, most of it. If you want to love your country, talk to your neighbors. Take a drive. Drive across this great country of ours. You'll fall in love just like I did when I was a kid. You see this great country, there is nothing better. Out with the Democrat socialists. Out with the America haters. Out with those that won't stand for the Pledge of Allegiance or the Star-Spangled Banner. You don't like it? Find something better. But I've got news. There's nothing better. I think I'll have more coffee. Take a break and be right back. Let's jump right back into it now. How many fraudulent programs do we have to see? How many bits of fraud do we have to see before we realize that when you get these guaranteed payments, there's often no oversight? People get paid that don't deserve to get paid. It's a problem. My next guest, he knows a lot about oversight. State Representative Jay DeBoyer of Michigan. He's the chair of the House Oversight Committee. Jay, nice to see you today.
Hey, Steve. Good to see you.
All right, let's talk about RX Kids.
That's
something you've been
pretty
talking
interesting.
about in committee. Tell us, what is this program for anybody that doesn't know, first of all?
Yeah, really quickly, RX Kids, contrary to maybe someone's initial reaction, is not a prescription drug program for children. What it is a direct cash payment, a cash handout to 16-week pregnant mothers, and then once the baby's born, it's a direct cash handout for either 6 or 12 months of about $500 a month. And when I say direct cash payout, I mean no strings attached, no guardrails, no prohibitions on what you can spend the money on, and no back check. So you qualify if you're pregnant, you get the money. By the way, there's no means test. So an individual who is otherwise financially well off is as eligible as an individual who may not be so financially well off.
Let me ask you about that. Let me ask you about that. So you're pregnant. You get how much money?
At 16 weeks, you would get $1,500.
$1,500. Is abortion legal at 16 weeks in Michigan?
Yes, it is.
I see a problem, Jay.
So this is, you are
no strings.
Correct. You're going, I believe that sometimes absurdity proves a point, right? And the absurdity of this is that there's no prohibition. You can receive a check for $1,500 and you can have an abortion the next day, the next week, and there is no requirement for you to pay that money back. That's just a glaring example of the fact there's no guardrails around this. And
Let me ask you this.
Really is.
Hold on. What is the documentation required to say that a woman is pregnant? A note from your doctor, that suffice?
Correct.
So if a doctor, let's say, was unscrupulous and had a bunch of women that, wanted to split the money, and not that this would ever happen, of course, because there's never fraud, a doctor could write somebody, right, a doctor could say, pregnant, you give me $1,000, you get to keep $500, all you have to do is go turn this in.
Correct. There
insane.
Are no guardrails. Yes.
Yeah.
And I'm going to tell you the program itself, right? So, let's break this down to what my role as chair of oversight is. Of course, I will have a policy position on these kinds of things as a representative. But my role as the oversight chair is to look at current programs and current departments within the state of Michigan and determine if they're being managed appropriately, determine if they're following statute, determine if they're doing the things that they're supposed to do from a respectful position of taxpayers' dollars. And I can tell you, the further we dig into this RX Kids program, the more I have glaring examples of what this really is, Steve. And what this really is the precursor to guaranteed basic income. That is what this is. Because after all, it is defined by the Department of Health and Human Services, meaning guaranteed basic income. And RX Kids is one of their examples that it is a guaranteed basic income type program. So what that means is that we're going to take people from we're going to take money from individuals, and then we're going to give it to other individuals, no strings attached, because we believe that that's how we're going to improve the economic conditions of the world.
What is the price tag attached to RX Kids?
Right now, the state of Michigan is into it for about $300 million. And by the way, we're not doing the entire state. Here's the other irony of this as you dig into this. They select communities within the state that they go into based on the demographic of their economic condition, and they start the program. Now, ironically, and purely coincidental, I'm certain, 99.999% of those jurisdictions are extremely heavily left blue districts.
I'm shocked to hear that. Let me ask you this. Do we have fraud in Michigan? I mean, we see Minnesota in the headlines. We see California. We see New York. Do we have fraud in Michigan?
Absolutely.
Are we on par with those other states, and we just haven't been told yet?
Yeah, I would say that that's hard to actually put an absolute on that statement, but I can tell you when you look at the management of departments, you look at the cash flow that flows out of these departments, and you look at the lack of guardrails in place, I would find it hard to believe that Michigan is disproportionately less fraudulent than other states. I would say statistically, we're probably, right in line with other states with regard to the number of individuals that would desire to commit fraud, which means to me that we're going to have examples that of that fraud glaring in the face. The dilemma that we have right now as the chair of House Oversight is that I have an administration that otherwise will not cooperate, meaning we ask for information and they thumb their nose at us and they don't send us the information. We send a subpoena and they ignore us. We send a subpoena to the Secretary of State and she, says, take me to court. So we are ripe for fraud, frankly, Steve.
Yeah. I went to the US.debtclock.org just for sport, Jay, while you were talking there.
Yeah.
The current state debt, not including unfunded liabilities like retirements and so forth, is $118 billion. That's the state debt for just Michigan. $118 billion we owe, and we're going to go ahead and throw money at people from other people with no strings attached. It's insane, Jay. Last word to you.
Yeah, really quickly, the thing you have to realize about RX Kids is the pushback argument you're going to hear is what? I'm not for children and pregnant mothers. That is a baloney propaganda argument. Of course we want to help mothers. Of course we want to help children. But when I take money from you, Steve, and I give it to someone else, I have an obligation, a moral obligation, to be certain that that money is being used for the purpose that it should be used for. And under this program, that money can be spent on anything, and I mean anything. Alcohol, marijuana, vacations, trips. It can be spent on anything. And so that's why these guardrails need to be put in place. And the further we dig into this program, the more we find out that this is just a stepping stone to a universal basic income. They want to expand it to the entire state. They want to expand it to 18 years of age. It's billions and billions and billions of taxpayer dollars
that we do not have. Jay DeBoyer, thank you for being here. Come back soon.
You bet, Steve. Have a great day.
There you have it. You want the facts? You just got them. It's not pretty. I'll be right back. All right. How about this one? Anthony, you'll like this one.
All right.
An unnamed gambler wins $10.3 million and a jackpot in Las Vegas. How much did he bet?
$700,000.
$5. Dang it. $5 became $10.3 million. He's in his mid-20s, much like you, Anthony.
That should have been me.
That could have been you.
Been gambling lately.
Yeah. Turned a $5 bet on a machine into a staggering $10,292,912.32.
What game?
Let's see here. He had just started playing. Incredible luck. Never witnessed anything like this, they say. What should you... Here's the question they asked. What does a person do after winning $10.3 million? First thing you do.
Bet it.
Call a lawyer.
Oh.
That's what they said. Call a lawyer and protect yourself.
Put it on red.
Yep.
Put it on red.
Double it.
Yeah. I'm riding it all on red, baby. Can you imagine someone being that dumb? Anyhow, it looks like he won it on, a slot machine or whatever, some sort of electronic game.
Wow.
He hit the progressive jackpot of $10 million with a $5 bet. So, sorry, Anthony, we'll still be here tomorrow. Bad news. This part of the program brought to you by my good friends at Wolverine Water. It's a Michigan company for 75 years, giving you the best water of your life. WolverineWaterSystems.com. You can get a free water test today. Does your water smell? Are you getting buildup in your toilet or your shower? Are your clothes not as clean as you'd like them? Does your hair feel like, it could be cleaner? WolverineWaterSystems.com can solve most of those problems with Michigan-made products and Michigan people coming to your house to help you out. WolverineWaterSystems.com. My good friend Paul Mahaney has been running that place for years now. He'll take care of you, I promise. WolverineWaterSystems.com. I'll be right back. Welcome back to the program. One of the things we hear about a lot these days is the affordability of basically everything. But one of the key factors when people look at their budget is how much they're spending on housing. And can they get a house? Can they even afford to get into a house? It's more difficult today we're told, for young people to get into a house. The average person buying their first home is now 38 years old. Well, my next guest is trying very hard to do something about that. Secretary Scott Turner is the 19th United States Secretary of Housing and Urban Development. He's on tour around the United States, and he has made a stop in Michigan. Mr. Secretary, welcome to the program.
Thank you, Steve. Great to be with you all.
One of the ideas, and this goes back a while, but one of the opportunities put forth in the first Trump administration and being developed further now is this idea of opportunity zones, taking places that maybe are underserved or have the opportunity to bloom, if you will, to have some input there from the government, to have people like yourself show up and say, okay, how can we do better? What can we do? These opportunity zones are key to creating more housing, aren't they?
Yes, sir. So during the first Trump administration in 2018, the president signed into law the Opportunity Zone policy, which was part of the Tax Cuts and Jobs Act of 2018. And with these opportunity zones, which you alluded to, are the most underserved, distressed communities around our country, urban, tribal, and rural. All the governors, territory leaders, tribal leaders, they pick census tracts, about 25% of eligible census tracts, to have a high crime rate, high poverty rate, low median income rate, and when they pick these zones out, then the Treasury certifies them. So to date, there's 8,764 opportunity zones, and the incentive is capital gains. When a person in our country incurs a capital gain by the sale of an asset, let's say they have, $1 million in capital gains, normally you would have to send that to the Treasury, obviously, to pay, taxes on that. But with opportunity zones, you can use a qualified opportunity zone fund as a vehicle to invest that $1 million capital gain into a qualified opportunity zone business. And if you hold it for 10 years, whatever profit you make over and above your initial investment, you pay zero capital gains. And so that was the incentive. And as a result, about $100 billion of investment, Steve, have been made into distressed communities around our country for new job creation, new housing, about 400,000 new units of housing, 500,000 new jobs, and 1 million people lifted out of poverty thus far in opportunity zones. And so with this new One Big Beautiful Bill, the Working Family Tax Cuts, as it's known, the opportunity zones will now be made permanent, which, to your point, will help us to continue to build more housing in our country, and particularly workforce and affordable housing.
I think you've made an incredibly important point there. Removing capital gains from somebody's home sale, incredibly important, especially when that's the largest investment most families ever make in their lives, is the home they live in. And it's important to make sure that that income, that nest egg, is protected. That's what you're working toward, isn't it?
Well, when I talk about capital gains, and this is for clarification purposes, I'm talking about like if you have a stock or if you sell a business and you incur a capital gain, this is not for single family homes. This is for like assets like investments in the stock market, companies that you sell. Those are the capital gains that are qualified to use in opportunity zones. We're working, as you said, on ideas for when people sell their homes. How can we save on those taxes, in particular for baby boomers, that may want to downsize and sell their homes and not incur, this huge tax whereby they can't even afford to buy another home. That's a different subject. But for opportunity zones, it's those capital gains that come from the sale of an asset, such as a stock or like SpaceX, when people sell stocks like in that, or the sale of a company.
Sure.
Those are the capital gains that are used in opportunity zones.
Let me ask you about another tax while we're on this topic, because one of the ways that American families and farms and landholders holders get hurt is with the death tax. I know this is something else the president has been focused on, reducing or potentially eliminating the death tax. Look, you paid a tax on the dollar when you earned it, when you invest it, when you saved it, when you spent it, and then the government comes along, they want a big bite out of it after you die. And this is the way families lose farms, because they might be land rich but cash poor. We don't want to destroy the family farm. We don't want to destroy a family legacy, whether it's a business, a farm, a home, whatever it may be. It's another critical part of the component, isn't it?
It is, sir. And we, obviously that's not in my purview from a HUD standpoint, but it has been in conversation. I've heard it been brought up because we want to protect the investment, in particular those legacy investments like farms and estates, to where people have worked hard for generations to maintain that and to pass on, to their siblings, to their children and grandchildren. So yes, sir, I have heard that been brought up, and it is very important, that we maintain that for the legacy and posterity of families in our country.
Absolutely.
And Congress obviously is, they have to work on that.
Let me stay with back to opportunity zones, though, for a minute more, because under Donald Trump's leadership, and you've been there for this second term, and I'm reading the numbers here. This is impressive. Housing and Urban Development has directly supported home ownership for over 1.5 million home buyers, 80% of which are first-time home buyers. You're getting folks out of the rental market into home ownership. That's critical. And you've already lifted 1 million Americans out of poverty through some of these programs. I mean, these are impressive numbers, sir.
Yes, sir. And, it's very humbling to hear that, and it's real. Last year alone in FHA, you're talking about over 1 million people able to afford to buy a home, and 80% being first-time home buyers. Those are real people in America achieving the American dream. And 1 million people being lifted out of poverty inside of opportunity zones. You think about 1 million individuals that come off the poverty rolls into self-sufficiency and self-sustainability. Just think about how many families are impacted. So to be able to continue this great work on a day in and day out basis is an honor for myself and our team. It's very humbling to be able to do so. We consider it really just a work and an assignment of a lifetime. And the president, under his leadership, has the same mindset. And so, Steve, we're going to continue to do this great work, and take an all of the above approach, to fulfill the president's promise of making housing affordable again and people to achieve this American dream. But that's what gets us up in the morning. And so thank you for sharing that.
Yeah, we have 400,000 open jobs currently in the trades.
Yes, sir.
That's someplace else. In order to build homes more efficiently, safely, quickly, and address this need, we need more people working as carpenters and HVAC people, electricians. But something else that is on the radar is all of the requirements, all of the roadblocks, all of the red tape. And I know you guys are working to get rid of some of the red tape so we can build better homes at a faster pace for people to call home, right?
Absolutely. And when we travel around the country, that's the number one thing we hear from developers, from industry experts, even from those that are elected inside of localities, that regulations are the number one barrier to developing and construction new homes in America. We just published our regulatory best practices report a couple of weeks ago, which I would encourage everyone to go take a look at from HUD, our regulatory best practices, which is a compilation, if you will, of our research around the country from state and local governments. Like, what are you doing, to ease your regulatory environment, to build more homes, to develop and construct more homes? And so this is a great tool, if you will. It's not a mandate. They're recommendations from HUD for state and local governments to look at their regulatory environment and say, okay, what can we do better to make it easier to build and easier to buy, in our country?
Absolutely. Secretary Scott Turner, really appreciate you taking time here. I appreciate you being in Michigan. We have the same demands as other places around the country. Good luck on the rest of your trip. It's an important one, sir. We appreciate you taking time to speak with us.
Absolutely. We've had a great trip here in Lansing and Detroit, and looking forward to going to Kalamazoo. So the great state of Michigan, we're here and enjoying our time. I want to see people thrive here.
Secretary Scott Turner, thank you. We'll take a quick break and be right back on Dave. talking earlier about how I'm seeing this change in Democrats. Lifelong Democrats saying, I don't recognize this party anymore. You've got Mamdani in New York. You've got that crazy mayor in Seattle. You've got this woman who just won the Democrat primary in Washington, D.C., another Democrat socialist. So more of this idiocy will be coming to Washington, D.C., and I frankly don't understand it. And so J.D. Vance actually laid it out pretty well in a comment I heard here moments ago. Anthony tuned it up for me. Here it is.
Guy who listens to the Democrat Party bosses, as that party has just become anti-everything that is good. They're anti-women playing in women's sports. They want men to play in women's sports, the craziest thing. They become anti-Semitic in the Democratic Party. They become anti-Christian in the Democratic Party. They become anti-white in the Democratic Party. And what I love about the Republican Party is whether you're black or white, whether you're a Jew, a Christian, or a person of no faith, the thing about the Republican Party is that if you work hard, you play by the rules, and you love this country, you are welcome on our team. That's not Swazi, but it's the people in this room.
Yeah, there you have it. Anti-everything. First they were anti-war. Now they're anti-peace. Donald Trump got screwed. I don't think so. There's some conservatives that don't like this deal either. There are no guarantees. They say, well, there are no guarantees. But a reporter asked the president yesterday, well, what now? What if they violate? What? There's no guarantees. No. Well, here's the guarantee. And Trump laughed. He said, what do you think we're going to do, take them to court? No, of course, you're not taking them to court, obviously. And he said, we'll bomb the hell out of them. There's a guarantee for you. We will bomb the hell out of them. 100%. By the way, when the Democrats talk about anything, how do you trust it? They have been calling Donald Trump a Nazi for years. He noticed, and then he noticed who they selected to be their Senate candidate in the state of Maine. Here's what he said about it.
5-point edge on the generic congressional ballot. They just have now just a 2-point lead since February. Do you think that they're losing momentum?
Well, I see the Republicans in generics. Generics are very important. I don't know how accurate, because I see a lot of bad polls. The polls are very dishonest, just like a lot of reporters, like these people over here, are very dishonest. CNN, ABC, it's a whole group of them over there. They're really dishonest people. But, and really networks are very dishonest. And they have to straighten themselves out, or they're not going to be very successful, because people don't believe them anymore. But no, the generics are very interesting because the Republicans are coming up strong even before this. You know why? They're seeing all these lunatics, like the guy in Maine with the swastika. For 10 years they've been calling me a Nazi. And now they have a Nazi running. He's got a tattoo on him. I've been denying it for 10 years. They know it's not so, but they've been calling. I don't think they can call it to me anymore. One more? One more? Go ahead, Peter. Let me.
Yeah, these dishonest people over here. You liked that, didn't you, Anthony?
I did. Can I also say, I was showing this to my girlfriend last night. I thought it was awesome. When Trump walked into the G7 conference room or whatever with all the world leaders sitting at the circle table,
yeah,
he walked in, he said out loud to he looked at them all, he said, "I'm the boss." And then he kept walking.
I didn't see that.
Nobody said anything.
Well, I did notice something about that. You remember, of course, you were here when Joe Biden went to the G7, and they're out standing somewhere outside.
He got lost.
And he's wandering off, and so Moroni, the Italian prime minister, she goes over and herds him back in. He just...
Yeah, that was the clip I saw.
Well, he wandered away because he's probably crapping his pants. Anyhow, so then you watch Trump walk in. First of all, he's the last guy to walk in, right? Everybody's already seated at the table. He comes on, and he shakes some hands going around and apparently says, "I'm the boss." He's the last guy to walk in. What a power move. Honestly. That's a total power move. Anyhow, let me compare and contrast Donald Trump to what they have in Canada. Mark Carney. What a doofus, right? Carney says they're not going to deal with the United States the way they used to. They're more aligned with the EU, and they're going to align with the EU, and they have Canada and the EU have twice as many people as the United States, and therefore this and that and da-da-da. They also have a smaller economy. Twice as many people, smaller economy than America. Think about it. Listen to this.
So, Canadians spent the last year absolutely fired up. Never 51st. We will not be defined by Donald Trump. Elbows up, our sovereignty. And that, of course, came from Donald Trump saying, well, Canada should just be the 51st state then. But then when German chancellors and other people from Europe started saying that Canada should join the EU, which is like literally the exact same thing that Trump said, all of a sudden Canadians were like, that sounds like such an interesting idea. Tell me more. The Prime Minister has literally called Canada the most European, non-European country every time he's gone to Europe. He's also said that the future, the New World Order, will be rebuilt out of Europe, not Canada, Europe, because Canada can't do it under his watch. His government has also copied 3 EU, UK-specific policies in like a week. And the Elbows Up crowd called him a visionary, gave him a standing ovation. Ah, oh, wow, Mark Carney, that's our guy.
Mark Carney's a twit. He's this puny little twit globalist who had 3 citizenships. He renounced his citizenship, what was it, France, the UK, and Canada, whatever it was. He had to renounce his citizenship to take over a country that he was not elected to lead. Canada, God bless you. I look forward to Alberta being the 51st state, Saskatchewan the 52nd, Manitoba the 53rd. And Quebec, you can keep Quebec. No, thank you. Yeah, anyhow, Elbows Up. He's our guy. It's something, anyhow. Can't wait till tomorrow. It's Free Speech, Free for All Friday. Powered by the Patriot Mobile Common Sense Hotline, 877-310-9966. Write that down now. Call tomorrow. You can be heard right here on Daybreak. You can be somebody, a big celebrity and everything. I'll be right back. All right. Well, another great podcast for you dropped on Monday. I wasn't here on Monday, of course. I was coming back from Florida. The song One Nation, very close now. Going into final production now. Going to final post-production. Mastering, they call it. And it will be released 1 week from tomorrow. Comes out midnight, going into the 26th of June. And I just think you guys are going to love this song. I do. Everybody that's heard it has fallen in love with it. Everybody. And, it's a great place to be. It really is. This song is about America, about our values, about being one nation under God. And in our 250th year, you have to reflect on these things. I'm also writing a book, by the way, 4 chapters in now, Prayers of the Presidents, Providence in American History. From Valley Forge to Gettysburg to D-Day, and all points in between. I'm hoping to have it ready to publish by late October, by Teddy Roosevelt's birthday, which is the 27th of October, for those of you keeping score at home. I hope to have it done by then and available for Christmas sales. We'll see how it does. We'll see. We'll see if I can get there. It's a lot of work. Working on a book, research, and so forth, and everything you have to do. The song has been a pleasure because Laura Kokenauer has been fabulous to work with, as has Ivy. And Anthony has been the inspiration through all of it. So there's that.
Yes.
Right.
There's also a nice clip of Steve playing the drums on Instagram.
Yeah.
A little inside look.
Little inside look at the studio, me drumming it out on Instagram. You don't want to miss that. Or maybe you do. I don't know. Anyhow, God bless America. Remember, fight the good fight, keep the faith. God bless America. This is Daybreak. And remember, only you, my friends, can save America.